Hello and welcome to Book Chat. My name is Becca. I'm the Supervisor of Advisory Services here at Skokie Public Library. And today we're doing something a little bit differently. We are going to be talking about the best of 2020 lists that were created by our staff and you, our patrons, as well. We've all chosen some books that we are super excited to read in 2021 and wanted to share with you. And I'm going to start by handing it over to Tiffany, who is going to kick it off with her first title from our best of lists. Tiffany, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Becca. So one book that I would love to read because it's been recommended by a handful of staff members is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. So this is a horror book in which 4 American Indian men from the Blackfeet Nation find themselves in a desperate struggle for their lives. Horror is not a genre I've usually read, but various staff have been talking about horror books this year, and it's just really intrigued me about the whole genre. So Luen and Andrew specifically recommended this book, and they said that it is lyrical, super scary, and just plain terrific. This was the horror novel to read this year. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what will. I actually just started reading it last night, and I'm already really invested, so I'm excited about this. Excited to be scared.
I love it. Yeah, that's one too. I've also weirdly gotten into horror this year, or I'm trying to. And I don't know, you'll have to let me know how that goes and see if I'm brave enough for it.
Absolutely.
The first book that I was going to talk about today was one that I had read when I was helping to create the lists. And then one of our colleagues was talking about it in a meeting yesterday, and it just made me want to read it even more. It's called The Great Concert of the Night by Jonathan Buckley. And it has been compared to Weather, which was one of my favorite books of this year. Both Stephen and Adam on our staff recommended it, and they said that Jonathan, I want to say Jeff Buckley, but it's not, it's Jonathan Buckley. Jonathan Buckley's memory novel is an elegant, perfectly polished work of art, written by a man of high culture with a well-stocked mind. It gives pleasure and provokes admiration on every page as its storyline gently advances through a series of brief vignettes, each worth lingering over. A truly uncanny novel. And so I really love literary fiction, and that was one in particular that really stood out to me. So I'm excited for that. What about you, Allyson?
Yeah, so the book I'm about to talk about was recommended in another meeting that we had. I love working at libraries, in a library. This one ended up on our best of the best year. It's a graphic novel called Year of the Rabbit by Tian, Veasna. And it's written from the perspective of his extended families, and now I'm using Chris's words, their incredible struggle to survive their internment in the brutal work camps of Cambodia under the Khmer Rouge. This graphic novel packs a wallop. Chris read it in one big gulp on a Saturday afternoon, and it just sounds like a really important, and it sounds like it's a very well done story that you can read in one sitting. Chris says it's important, it's beautifully and heart-rendingly told. I can't wait to read it. So Tiffany, what's next on your list?
So I'm glad you're talking about graphic novels because I've been getting into those this year. And what I'm going to talk about is the graphic novel that I look forward to read. It's Dragon Hoops by Jean Luen Yang. And it's a young adult graphic novel that takes the reader inside the author's life as a father, cartoonist, and teacher at a small California school where the basketball team is set to make a run for a state championship. Everything I've read about this book just makes it seem great. I really love the graphic novels. You know, they're not lighthearted because they have pictures. They can really tackle like emotional and impactful events in people's lives. This was also recommended by Jarrett in a book chat episode earlier this year. It was chapter 10. So after he read it, it got on my radar. And it was also recommended by Kathy, who says, "It feels like you were there, and I found myself dreaming of a basketball championship." So I love sports victories, so I'm really excited about this book. All right, Becca, what's next on your list?
Yeah, I feel like we had a lot of people recommend it. I feel like I remember Denise talking about it at some point too, who's also been a guest on our book chat. I think just all around, Jean Luen Yang is a favorite amongst staff and readers in general. So that's an awesome choice.
He's a sure bet, I would say. Sorry.
No apologies. I'm sorry, you said what?
He's a sure bet author. Like I would say 98% of the people who pick up any book by him will enjoy it.
That's great. This is my first time reading him, so glad to hear that.
Yeah, and because of the graphic novel format, like I've never handed it to a teen, any of his stuff to a teen, and not had them enjoy it. So, and he like sneaks a lot of learning into like really fun books, which I always appreciate as well, where you don't feel like you're learning, and then at the end you're like, oh, I know all this stuff I didn't know before, which is great. So my next book is Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu, also recommended by Chris. Chris was prolific in his recommendations this year. And I know that it's one that he specifically said should be read and not listened to, which is like, ooh, for me, I tend to go towards listening. But there is an audiobook as well, so we'll see. We'll see about that. And he said it's one of the funniest, most creative, and deliciously clever books he read this year. It's metafiction, so it's written as a screenplay, like I said, and it's one that you're going to want to share with others. And my best friend also just read it and really enjoyed it. So I've heard nothing but great things, and it won the National Book Award, I think, or one of those very big award books of the year. So generally speaking, they kind of know what they're talking about. So that's Interior Chinatown. Allyson, what's your next one?
Well, it's fun. I get to tie it in with yours. You called Interior Chinatown, or Chris called it delicious, and I'm going to talk about a delicious book as well. But this one, I'm going a little rogue, talking about a picture book called Dozens of Doughnuts. This is recommended by Melissa, who we are so lucky to work with, just some outstanding story time librarians, and Melissa is one of them. She's amazing. I think she has a bunch of story times on our programming channel, and they are worth checking out even if you don't have young people around you. But anyways, Dozens of Doughnuts. She says it's such a fun read, and it incorporated rhyming, colorful pictures, and so many kinds of donuts. Yum. I can't wait to read it. So Tiffany, what are you up to?
Well, now I'm thinking about donuts, but the next book I want to read on my list is Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli. This is a YA book, and I read a book by her earlier this year called Simon versus a Homo Sapiens Agenda, and I really loved it. I really loved her writing style. YA books have been a great escape for me this year as well. So this was also a teen book club book. So our teens read this book this summer. So just good stuff all around. But it was recommended by Rachel, who says, this book made me feel hopeful. I love stories about people becoming more comfortable in their own skin, stories about people standing up for what they believe in, and sweet, will they or won't they romances. This book has all that. So I really look forward to hopefully reading that in January. All right, Becca.
That one has been on my list as well. A friend of mine texted me kind of out of the blue and was like, have you read this book yet? Because she knows that I love YA. And I said, no. And she's like, oh, Becca, you have to read it. So I feel like my 2021 list of reading is like done already, and it's not even the new year. So my last book is a romance. I couldn't go through a book chat without mentioning at least one romance. And I know that my colleagues are also in that camp. So I wanted to recommend Slippery Creatures by KJ Charles. I'm really excited about this book. He is one of Perry's most favorite romance novel writers. I'm sorry, I said he, but it's a she. Please excuse me. This is the first book in a new series. The plot is wild. It's a connection between the two main characters. When there's conflict, it's meaningful conflict, and it's resolved, and the relationship is really great. It takes place a great part in a bookstore, is my understanding. So I love a library or a bookstore story. I think authors are onto us, and they know that if they set stuff in a library or a bookstore, we're apt to like it just a little bit more. And I know Perry is a huge romance reader, so I'm excited to read one of her favorites. All right, Allyson, what's your last one?
Well, I went rogue again, and this time I'm going to talk about a movie that was recommended by our movie expert, Sharon. She recommends Slate the Dragon, and I'm really excited to watch it because it's about gerrymandering, which is something I know I should know more about, but honestly, I need to know more. And Sharon recommends this movie not only because it's really, really well done, she calls it alarming yet hopeful. She also said that the filmmakers did a fantastic job explaining the practice, its far-reaching effects, and also following grassroots campaigns to stop partisan gerrymandering. So I feel like it's something that sounds really accessible and also really compelling, and that's what I need so I can learn more about this really important topic.
Is it fictional or is it a documentary?
It's a documentary.
Cool. Very, very cool.
That is on my list as well now.
Yeah, and now I have all of the books that you were all talking about on my list.
We're going to be busy next year.
Indeed. Well, thank you all so much. We hope you're adding some of these titles to your own list. If none of these sound appealing, which I would find that hard to believe, there are so many more titles and so many more lists that our staff has put together of our favorite titles of the year. There's also a list of patrons' favorite titles of 2020, so please be sure to check those out. We'll link to it down in the description field, so check us there. You can always send us an email to matchmanagers@skokielibrary.info, or you can find us on chat, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of our website, skokielibrary.info. We hope you've had a great 2012. We hope it's 2020. Thank you for being here with us. We hope 2021 is better. We'll be here. We can't wait to see you. Bye.